CRM stands for Customer Relation Management, and we need to manage the relationships that we have with our customers, and we need to do a good job of it. We need to have great customer relations, and the CRM tool, the software itself, that's just a tool to make us better.
Hey, what's good, Millionaire University Nation? Brian Guerin back with you on the MU podcast. And today we're going to continue with part 3 of our 4-part series, Sales Fundamentals That Every Business Owner Should Adopt. And today, in part 3, we're focusing on sales tools and technologies. So we're going to talk all about CRMs, their importance, and the use of the customer relationship management system that can make a huge difference in your business internally, as well as managing those relationships with your customers. We're also going to talk about data-driven sales decisions. So we've got a banger today. Thanks for joining us. Let's hop right in with Sean O'Shaughnessy of New Sales Expert. Here we go. Thanks for being back here, Sean.
It's great to be with you, Brian. Thank you very much for doing this. This has been a lot of fun. The first 2 were a lot of fun. Let's hope number 3 is good as well. So let's have fun.
We're going to rock out. This is going to be great. This is one of my bugaboos, if you will. And I think this is possibly the same for many people who might be listening to us here, where we're going to be talking about leveraging your CRM and sales technologies and then data-driven sales decisions. But on that first point, CRMs. Personally, I went for the longest time with going in and out of different CRMs, testing them out, using it for a month, maybe 2 months, and then getting annoyed with it or forgetting to use it, and just going back to like almost pencil and paper or like spreadsheets. So I'm really excited to dive in on this, and I'm happy to report that just on my business side, I do have a CRM. We have been using it, and it's made a world of difference. So I'm excited to have you share all your knowledge about the CRMs with us. So Sean, take it away, my friend.
Thank you very much. And one of the things I probably am not going to spend a lot of time doing in this episode, I really don't want to name CRMs that are good or bad, right? Because there's lots of reasons why you would choose one or the other. And there's like 275 CRMs. So I guarantee if you dropped a name on me, I would know the big ones because I do know the big ones. But you could drop a name on me of a CRM system that I've never seen, I know nothing about.
There's way too many. And that was part of the problem.
All of them kind of do the basics, which is I have a company and I have a person at that company that I want to deal with. And I'm trying to sell to either that person or that company. They all kind of have that as a basic thing. And that's okay, but you need more than that. So what I really want to do is talk about what you can do with a CRM and why you should have a CRM, and then some ideas that you should think about when you are evaluating CRMs, if you're in the situation where you don't have a CRM, or maybe you're not happy with it. We'll kind of dig into some of that. Then we'll get into a little bit into data-driven sales decisions, which you can't really do until you have a CRM. And then we'll talk a little bit about social selling and online presence. But actually, you're going to talk a little bit during that session as well, because you know a lot about that. So that'll be more of a joint conversation, I think, when we get to the end of this conversation here.
All right, perfect. I love it.
First thing that I like to say when we talk about a CRM system is that a CRM system is, I wish they would never have used the term CRM for a system, for an application, for something you buy, simply because CRM, without being shortened, customer relationship management, is what we've been doing for hundreds of years, right, in sales. So my dad sold heavy construction equipment for most of his life. So heavy construction equipment, bulldozers, backhoes, things that make highways. So if you go by and you're seeing a road being built, all that stuff that's doing that, that's all the stuff that's building that road, that's what my dad sold for his entire life. And he loved it. It was great. And he was really good at it. And he made a good income. And he got me into good schools because of that. He didn't have a CRM system, had no idea, but he knew all about customer relationship management. He knew how to take care of his customers. He and the people that were supporting him knew how to support that customer, how to communicate to that customer. They knew how to communicate to each other about the customer because, when you're selling something big like that, there's lots of people that have to talk to the customer. How are we going to maintain it? Once they bring in that bulldozer needs serviced or whatever, how are you going to do that? Do you want our people to do it? Right. So all of those things had to be communicated, and that's customer relationship, right? So and he had to manage that customer relationship. So CRM at the very high end is just doing what we should be doing anyway. Now, a bunch of years ago, and I'm not going to kind of guess how long ago, but a long, long time ago, somebody developed some tools to make that better, made it a software product. So it was after, the introduction of the PC, the personal computer. And we had Act and Goldmine were kind of the big ones that they started with. And then Siebel came along, which is a big company one. And then about 20 plus years ago, 25 years ago or so, they created this thing called SaaS, software as a service, but it wasn't called that yet. And Salesforce.com became the big thing. And Salesforce.com was the big CRM system that everybody used back then. It was very cheap, very affordable. People could buy it without having a big budget. And it really took off and everybody started doing it. And of those 275 or 290 or 310, whatever the right number is, the number of CRMs on the market, the vast majority of them today are SaaS-based tools, all built off that model that Salesforce.com created, 2 or 3 decades ago. CRMs have got to the point where they are affordable enough that everybody in sales should have one. And I actually have told salespeople if their company doesn't have a CRM, and that does exist even today in the fourth year of the third decade of the 21st century, it still exists that there's people out there that do not use a CRM at a corporate level, at their company level, or maybe they're an independent business person, kind of like you, Brian. And I was like, you need to get a CRM because there's so many reasons to do that. And so let's just talk about some of the good reasons why you need to have a CRM. First of all, you really need to be able to track all of your people that you're trying to deal with. And if you're selling to companies, that means you're going to have to track multiple people at the same company. And so when you're corresponding or talking to Joe at the company, well, you kind of want to know that Larry is there as well. And you've also said the same thing or a similar thing to Larry. You want to make sure those messages are combined. Maybe you want to make sure that's exactly the same message. You also want to know that you talk to Joe and you talk to Larry. And that's more of a management thing. So it's not so much at a personal level, but at a manager, a sales manager or CEO of a small company. You want to know, hey, when we took notes on what Joe said or Larry said or Steve said or Sally said, when I look at that company, I want to see all of those notes, right? So if I'm an electrician, we talked about plumbers a lot last time, so let's not talk about plumbers this time. So if I'm an electrician and I own an electrician company and I have lots of electricians out there doing things, I might want to have notes on everybody all my clients that I've done work for, right? What did I do? Who did it? Where did we do it? Where was the job site? All that stuff. I might want to keep track of that. And me as the owner of the electrician company, maybe I'm an electrician myself, maybe I'm not, but I have 5 electricians working for me. I have some support staff and whatever, but I'm going to go meet with that company, that builder we just did 15 homes for that builder. I'm going to go meet with him on a regular basis. And I want to kind of look at all this stuff that we did before I go to that meeting. I want to refresh. Hey, we did these 5 houses this month, this quarter, and we did this kind of work. We built this way. This is some of the problems we had. I want to look at all those notes and have them right there. And that's all the great thing about having a CRM, because everybody can put their notes, everybody can put their thoughts into everything. And everybody can, at a company level, can get access to all of the information. So Joe's sick today, but we really need to talk to Sally at the company. So Joe's our employee. And we really need to talk to Sally. What's Sally's phone number? Does anybody know Sally's phone number? Everybody's looking for email. Let's just go in your CRM system, look up Sally's phone number and just make the phone call. Let's get this thing done, right?
Yeah. And I can tell you my first experience with pre-CRM and then using a CRM at a company was I used to work, I was an assistant manager back at a lawn care company back in the day. And the first year I was there was a semi-CRM, right? It was a combination of you go out, and I was a lawn care technician. So I go out there, and when you're on a job, you got to take notes on everything, right? Like this person had bare spots, recommended seed. I spoke with the Mr. or the Mrs. and they wanted this. And those notes got sent back to the office at the end of the day. There was someone there that would transcribe all the notes you took, put it into the system. And then next time you go out and service this house, whether it's you or a different tech, it would have the information from the previous tech so that you could pick up where they left off. Now, the following year, they got better software and it was all digitized. We had iPads that would take you to where you're supposed to go. You type in all the notes, and then it was all accessible on the computer system when you're back in the office. The headaches that were solved by being able to digitize that and use a proper CRM, it wasn't just for, like you said, not just for internal organization and everybody keeping their heads screwed on straight, but it was massive in the fact that of the customer relationship. It played a huge role in making sure that, if one tech was serving this house and there was a problem this week, and then next week the problem was getting solved by a different tech, but if that tech had no insight onto what the previous tech talked about with the customer is going to be mad when they have to waste time explaining the problem, all brand new, to a new guy who could have had notes in a CRM, who could have showed up and said, hey, last time we were out here, I saw XYZ problem. I'm here to fix it. Let's roll. So it was a total game changer implementing that.
Exactly. And that's why it's customer relationship, right? So the whole goal of having a CRM is to make it so that the customer feels like they're being taken care of by a group of people. Now, if you're an individual that you're all by yourself, you don't get, there's no group of people kind of concept in your company, then that's one thing. But then you still need to take notes because you got to remind yourself because now you're busy.
But even then, exactly. Yeah, it's the same thing where I'm still the sole sales guy at my agency. We're still small enough to where that's my job. But I have to keep notes on everybody who comes in. What's their name? What's their information? Are they a lead? Are they qualified? Are they unqualified? Do we have a scheduled call? I have a notes section on everything. So that way, when I reach back out, like after this call, I'm reaching out to a guy who I was unable to connect with yesterday, but I got notes from the referral. So now I can approach this call knowing 3 or 4 things right off the rip that this guy needs, and we can get to the sale a lot quicker. So even on a small individual level, it is still very helpful to have that.
Absolutely. And in fact, so let's talk about another reason. And this is kind of a checkbox feature that I think that every CRM should have. And I would actually counsel everybody listening to this, don't buy a CRM system that doesn't have this capability. So the capability is email integration. You need to have a CRM that literally watches your email and puts everybody in this right bucket. So that if I got an email from Brian, so Brian and I communicate about doing this show, right? And we communicate about some joint customers we have, some prospects that he and I share. Some of my customers are his prospects, some of his customers are my prospects, that kind of relationship. So I want to go to Brian in my CRM system and see all of the communication that I have. Because if you ever had the problem, and we all have, in this world of digital email, that you have that email, but you just can't find the email. It went to Brian. You think it was 2 months ago, but maybe it was 4 months ago. It was something about this. So you try to do the search, and especially if you don't regularly file all of your emails the right way. And the challenge of filing emails, in my opinion, is, okay, Brian and I talk about ABC company, and I'm not going to name a company that we both are working on, we both know, but for some reason, we both have a relationship where we're having conversations about ABC company. So where do I file that email? Do I file that under Brian, or do I file that under ABC company? Because now I want to talk to Brian about something that we also talked about in that thread about ABC company, about a new service that Brian's bringing out. And I think it was for ABC that we had that conversation. So should I go in the ABC folder, or should I go in the Brian folder? I don't have to worry about it. I just go to Brian. Everything from Brian is going to be there, right? And by the way, everything for ABC company is also going to be linked there as well, right? So I want to have the ability in my CRM system, and I think this is just table stakes. And when I say table stakes, if you've ever played poker at a casino or even around the house, you walked up and you had to chip in some money right at the beginning. You had to put some money down just to play, right? Those are table stakes, right? So you have to put some money down just to be sitting at the table, just to play the game. So table stakes is my CRM better be able to read my email. It better be able to categorize all my email, and I better be able to go into my CRM to find an email. And in fact, I know sales reps, because the email integration is so good at the CRM system that they use, that they don't use Outlook, they don't use Gmail, they don't use any of the other tools that we might use to read email. They read their email inside of their CRM because it's so good that you do it there. And they can also, now they can add notes to it, and it's just much easier for them. And they're really embedded into the process of capturing information that is email oriented, because so many companies today are. So much work that we do with our customers and our prospects is email oriented. So this is just a gotta have. And so I disqualify any company, any product on the market of those 282 companies that put out a CRM system on the market. If it doesn't do email integration, you don't get bought. Just simple as that. It's the easiest way just to kind of get rid of a bunch of them. And most of them now have it because they kind of all caught on, but there's still a few laggards out there that just don't have that. So just don't call it to those guys. It's not worth the effort.
The ability to streamline your processes through the CRM can't be understated.
Yes, exactly. CRM is supposed to make it go easier and faster and make it so that you don't forget information. So kind of both things. So there's some things that are going to take you a little longer within a CRM. The fact that you actually have to enter information in, that becomes a little bit more work, but that's so you don't forget any information as well. So all your notes should go in there. And Brian, I'm not sure if you use this for your conference calls, but I use a tool in my conference calls, and this is kind of still on this sales technologies conversation, where I have an artificial intelligence thing. When I'm on a conference call, it gets online. There's a bunch of them out there. I use a tool called Fireflies. So I am going to plug Fireflies because I like it a lot. But there's several tools out there that do this. They're fairly inexpensive. They listen in on your conference call. You have to ask permission, of course, for the other person that's on the call. And then the notes for that are integrated into my CRM system. And so it's taking notes all the time. It's figuring out who says what, who committed to do what, whatever. And all that information flows into my CRM system. So I don't have to take notes anymore. Once again, I'm just trying to be more productive in my world because now all that information flows through.
Yep. There's a lot of cool tools out there that are now obviously using AI to help transcribe, record all that information. Most of my calls happen on Zoom, so you can use Otter AI. They can work magic because it's already in there. You've got a streamline integration into the CRM. You know it's there. So like if you want to go back and listen to a part of the call, like, hey, this guy's saying he said this, or, he's saying I quoted him 1,300 instead of, I thought I quoted him 1,100. Now you can go back to the recording and be like, hey, I actually checked the tape. I did quote you, whatever it was. So there's a lot of benefits to having the technological advances that can help you out in the sales system.
Since Brian's in my CRM system, so if I do a conference call with Brian, and we're not using one of those tools on this call, obviously, but if I was doing a conference call with Brian, the system would know it's got access to my calendar. And so the system would know, hey, I'm going to put the notes for that call. It's going to be linked to Brian, right? So I'm not going to say it puts it into it, but links it to Brian. Other tools that are really cool on the same way or other techniques, and this is more about the customer relationship. So let's say that you're working with a lot of prospects, you're doing a lot of networking, you're trying to build up your world of people that you can sell to or sell through or sell around. You realize that, I haven't talked to Joe in 6 months. And I thought Joe was great. And Brian, you and I have come into that problem before where we kind of went silent to each other. I actually have in my CRM system, I have a report that I run every single month at the first of every month that says, when's the last time I talked to these people? So it gives me everybody in my database and has the last touch point because it has access to my email. It has access to my calendar. So when's the last time I had a correspondence with Brian? Now, I still may not get back to him right away because maybe that list is too long, right? Maybe I just can't get him in right away. But I think that was one of the ways that you and I reconnected after a little bit of a gap of time. I was like, I haven't talked to Brian in 3 months, and that's just not right. So I reached out to Brian, and we went out and had drinks that night.
Well, it helps when I say, let's go get some Irish whiskey. Then I jump straight to the top of your list.
You're right.
It's funny
it does
how that
help.
happens.
There's no question about it. There's no question about it. But, I do this on a regular basis. So I don't always get to everybody that's on that list that I haven't seen everybody in a long enough time. And some people, I know. I was like, okay, I don't want to see that person that often anymore. It's not good for his business or her business, not good for my business. There's nothing wrong with that person, but we're just not doing business together and we don't have a relationship, and we probably won't for one reason or another, right? And that's fine. But there's other people that you want to kind of constantly stay in contact with. And that's the great thing about having a CRM system. I just run a report. It's that simple. I run a report. And literally, I will sit there. If it's football season, I'll sit there during the football games, and I'll sit there and I'll start sending out emails. Hey, Brian, we haven't talked in a long time. Let's make an appointment on our calendars. Let's get something together. Let's have a conversation, right? And I'll just pound those out. It's a great Sunday afternoon thing. I also like to watch golf. I know I'm weird. I like to watch golf on TV. It's kind of weird. I know that.
Oh, I've spent my whole weekend watching the Genesis while the kids were napping. So we're in the same boat there. You're not a weirdo.
I think watching golf is really, really cool. So it's golf season's coming up. So now I'll be doing that during the golf games as well, because I can just pound it out. And you know that anything good happens at a football game, anything good that happens at a baseball game, anything good that happens at a golf match, they're going to show you again. So if you're kind of multitasking, that's okay. So I'm male, so I can't multitask naturally. I can do it for a sports event on TV because they're going to show me the good stuff like 2 or 3 times. So I'm going to catch it. Don't worry about it.
Right. I love it.
Leveraging those tools, all driven because I have a CRM system, just makes you more productive. this is a must-have in once again, the fourth year of the third decade of the 21st century, right? So I say it that way because I want to say it's not 1960 anymore. So we can't run our company the way they did it in 1960. Because I want to tell you a little secret. So I told you about my dad. Sold heavy construction equipment, didn't have a CRM, didn't have a computer. They didn't have computers back then. They did, but no company like his was going to have a computer, right? Although the only companies they had back then were mainframes. So he was very productive, but he was productive because he had an administrative assistant. He called him a secretary, right? He had an administrative assistant that was dedicated to him. So he's a sales guy, bringing in a lot of money for his company, his owner, the owner of his company. The owner of his company hired an administrative assistant to help him. I think sometimes she would help another salesperson. So sometimes they shared it between two salespeople, but a lot of times I think she was dedicated to him. That was just kind of how it felt when I was growing up. So she would write all his letters for him. He could dictate his letters. She would type them up because typing back then was, literally it was the thing that flips up, bap, 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 right? So that was typing, right? It was manual typewriter. And then she got an electric typewriter. That was awesome. So he didn't type. Now, if you want to send an email, most likely, if your salespeople want to send an email, you're going to type your own email. That didn't happen back when my dad was there. So he was very productive, but he paid for that productivity by employing an assistant that was dedicated to his needs. So she kept track of it. All of his call notes, he would write them out on a piece of paper. Nobody could read his handwriting except for her. And she would type them up so everybody else in the company could actually see the notes. They had file folders that everybody would go to and look at the file folders. So it was a lot slower. So kind of the same thing. What have we done with this company? Where's it filed? And you know what? If you couldn't figure out where it was filed, if it was filed under Brian versus ABC company, well, she knew how she filed it because that's her job to know that. So you would go to her and say, where's that correspondence we did with Brian? And she would go, oh, all the Brian stuff is in the ABC folder. Oh, okay, great. So let's go look in the ABC folder, not the Brian folder, right? So because we had a person taking care of all those details for us, we didn't need a CRM system back then, but we did need customer relationship. Now we have completely gotten rid of the administrative assistant secretary for one for every salesperson. We expect them to be productive. So give them the tools so they really can be productive. And that means CRM and a variety of tools around the CRM system that will let them cook with oil. How do you say that? What's your saying?
Cooking with peanut oil.
Cooking with peanut oil. Okay, there you go. I'll get that.
Yeah. The CRM taking the spot of the administrative assistant is a huge win for productivity and for the ability of a salesperson to just keep their stuff together, right? Like it's hard enough to remember, 3 or 4 or 5 people, but then especially if you're running high level sales or even if you're, a small independent shop and you've got 10, 15 people between current clients and prospects and leads, it is impossible to keep it all up in your one single brain. Like, maybe it's just me because I can't multitask and that's how I operate, but I think it's human nature to not be able to multitask, and having this system in place is going to act as your second brain. It's the smart thing to do.
I agree 100%. So, and that allows you, and this is our next topic, that allows you to get to the ability to data-driven sales decisions. So I kind of alluded to a data-driven sales decision a few minutes ago when I talked about, I haven't talked to somebody in 30 days or 45 days, whatever my trigger is, whatever my limit is for that type of person, right? So a referral partner, I want to make sure I'm talking to them every 90 days. If it's a prospect, I probably want to talk to them every 30 days. So one of the data-driven sales decisions that nearly every salesperson has to deal with is how often do I talk to that person and how do I communicate to that person? Because some people don't want to be talked to. Some people are like, no, just send me a text message. Or they want to be, no, let's go have a drink at the bar. That's kind of Brian and I. Yeah. Or maybe for some people, it's, I want you to actually come and visit me face to face in my place of work. Whatever the case may be, you need to make decisions on how often that is. That's a perfect example of what every salesperson has to do on a regular basis. In fact, every business owner, small business owner, has to do it as well, because you want to go see your best customers. Even if you're not the salesperson anymore, you still want to have a relationship with your best customers. So one of the data-driven sales decisions is how often do I see them? So that's a great example of that. But let's talk about some others that are really, really important. So another data-driven sales decision is if I know that I am constantly trying to getting into a certain industry. At a high level, I might be able to understand that I am trying to get into an industry and it's not working. If I'm a salesperson, I'm trying to break into a company or I'm trying to break into a market and something's just not working. At a high level, I can kind of make that decision. But it's much better when I can say, let me see the data. How many times did I really try compared to a different industry? If, say, you're selling into manufacturers, you have a product, you have a service that you're selling to manufacturers, and you say, I want to sell into the automotive industry and I want to sell into the aerospace industry and I want to sell into some other industry. So I'm really doing good on everything but automotive and aerospace. Okay. Well, does that mean my salespeople are not doing a good job going after automotive and aerospace? Does that mean that we're getting told no? Does that mean our sales pitch is wrong? Or are we not even trying? Or, how many times did we actually try, right? That would be a data-driven sales decision that the sales manager would have to know for his sales team, right? So we don't sell to any automotive-based companies, but we also don't call on any automotive-based companies. Well, gee, maybe that's the reason why we're not selling to them, because we're not making sales calls at those kind of companies, right? Or if I'm selling to home builders, let's go back to the electrician. He wants to sell to home builders. He wants to sell to remodelers. People are remodeling their facility, right? So he wants to keep in touch with them. He wants to sell to architects because he wants to be spec'd in. And he also wants to get every once in a while the phone call from somebody that says, I need to wire in my Tesla. He wants to call in Tesla owners, right? Because they want to put a charger in for their new Tesla they just bought. Well, how many times are you actually doing that? How many times have you visited the Tesla dealership to make sure that they have your business card, they have your pamphlet, that when they buy a Tesla car, hey, here's the guy. He's gonna help you set it up. How many times you keep greasing that skid, right? Greasing those wheels a little bit. Are you spending time with those salespeople to make sure they're handing out your brochure and not the other guy's brochure, right? Because there's 4 or 5, 10 companies that want to do business with them, right? So which one are they handing out? Who's the favorite? Where's your brochures? Where's your business cards? Well, you find out, I don't do that. I don't call on them. Well, guess what? You're not going to get any business then. If you don't call on somebody, you're not going to get any business. You don't have a relationship with that person, you're not going to get any business.
Yep. Got to show some love.
Got to show some love. So how many times are you actually doing that? Take a look at your salespeople. How many times are they actually making those sales calls? How many times are they actually trying to go after that account? Are they responding quick enough too, right? So remember, this is customer relationship management. Our customers tend to be upset with us. Oh, that's interesting. But then when you look at the data, yeah, we take a week to get back to them on a question. Well, guess what? A week is a long time. Nobody likes a week anymore. Remember, this is the 4th year of the 3rd decade of the 21st century, right? Nobody wants a week. They'll tolerate a day. They won't tolerate much more than a day. Yeah. And you know how this is for your own life. If you don't want a phone call the next week for something you asked for, right? You want something the next day, maybe you can deal with that, but you really want something that day, right? You want 4-hour response on questions. Are you doing that? Well, that's data-driven decisions. We're not doing that. So, okay, we're not hitting our goal on customer happiness. Customers are complaining that we're not getting back to them. Let's do some analysis. How quickly are we responding to emails? So we got the request in, that's logged in our CRM system. We sent the answer back, that's logged in our CRM system as well. Right? Maybe you've hooked up with Brian and Brian kind of convinced you to run some Facebook ads and some great social presence ads. And that's going to feed into a landing page with a form on it. You're going to fill out that form. That form is going to go into your CRM system. And now you have to have a salesperson follow up on that quote unquote lead, that brand new opportunity that just came your way through Brian's efforts. Oh, but we don't do that fast enough. It takes us 4 days to reply back to that lead that just came in on that form fill.
Yeah, that's a no-no.
That's a no-no, right?
If you like money, that's a no-no.
That's right. That's a no-no. So that's a data-driven decision. And then you look at that data and so, and this is what Brian will help you with all the time because he's always talking about analytics. He's like, we ran this ad and it didn't have any response, right? Or this other ad had a lot of response. Well, then don't run the one that didn't, run the one that did, or hire somebody like Brian to help you fix the one that wasn't working very well and figure that out. And maybe it's the target market, maybe it's the wording, whatever. Brian helps people figure those problems out all the time. But all of those get fed into your CRM system. You do some analytics on them and you find out, hey, this is working, this isn't working. Let's either fix what's not working or stop doing it altogether and just focus on what works. That's okay. So really it's depending on your business model, what you're trying to do in your business, right? But if something's not working, you have to make a choice. I either fix it or I drop it. Because things that aren't working are taking your precious resources and you need to do something else with them. which obviously all flows into social selling and online presence, which is kind of what we just talked about, right? So kind of set us up there for a little bit for that. But social media all flows into this. Another tool that I love to have, especially if you're selling B2B, selling to companies, most B2B people you sell to are going to be on LinkedIn. So you want to have a LinkedIn relationship. You want to have a presence on LinkedIn. But maybe for your product that you're selling, Facebook's important or Instagram's important or one of the other social media, social selling sites or Twitter's important. Whatever's important in your world, the people you sell to, whatever they track, and maybe they track multiple, and Brian can help you out with that as well. But the ability to connect to those platforms automatically, get information to flow back. This is working. This isn't working. I'm communicating this person. Some people like to communicate. Don't send me a text. Send me a tweet. Send me a direct message, right? And a good CRM will let you do that. A good CRM will say, here's my Twitter handle. I can click on it and I can send you a message right there. I don't have to send you an email because maybe that's not the right way to communicate to that person.
Right. And it's very easy. I find it's easy to miss a message or miss a reply because we are being contacted or contacting people on multiple platforms, whether it's email, text message, phone call, LinkedIn Messenger, or if you're on social media connecting with customers, whether it's Facebook Messenger or connecting through Instagram, through the DMs or through comments. Like there are so many different areas where you can easily miss somebody trying to buy something from you or to get a hold of you, that having that organizational flow chart or flow that goes into that CRM, having something that can automatically track those things and put them in one place just makes it that much easier.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And so my customers tend to be B2B companies selling so one business selling to another business. It could be a small business like Brian's, small business selling to a bigger business. Most people in my world, therefore, are on LinkedIn. They have some kind of LinkedIn presence. They put their information out there. They tell you their title. They tell you who they work for. They tell you what they do. They might even post about what they do. They might make blog posts or LinkedIn posts out there about what they do. So you can get a lot of information about who a person is just by checking out all that information. And there's tools, and the tool that I like, there's several tools out there, but the tool I like is Surf, S-U-R-F-E. So Surf with an E. You plug it into LinkedIn, you connect it to your CRM system, and now whenever you're on somebody's page on their LinkedIn profile, it actually will say, this person's in your CRM system or this person's not in your CRM system. Do you want it to be? And you can just say yes, and it automatically put it in so you don't have to retype, because typing's hard to do for salespeople. You don't want to type if you don't have to. You want to make everything as easy and quick as possible. Surf is another one of those great tools that lets you do that. But the cool thing about it is if I change jobs, if I'm LinkedIn with somebody and that person changes jobs, well, now I get that new person at that new place, and I can then bring that person in through Surf and add him as a new contact. Or maybe I don't, because now maybe he's not has nothing to do with my world anymore, and that's fine too.
Well, that's very cool. I've actually never heard of that tool. So that's an add-on on LinkedIn, or that's an add-on through your CRM system?
So I believe it's something that runs in like the Chrome browser or Safari browsers, or I'm not sure what browsers it supports. So yeah, I think it's a plugin into that when you're on LinkedIn, it kind of realizes you're on LinkedIn and then adds some more functionality to that. And then within that product, you link it to your CRM system.
Okay, that's awesome. I'm gonna have to check that out because I'm on LinkedIn a lot. We could have our own episode, a whole episode about using LinkedIn to your advantage. But yeah, being able to connect it into the CRM and using tools like Surf, I think that's super awesome.
Exactly. And then the other thing that you need to do with the CRM system, and it's part of social selling, but it's not really a social selling platform, is newsletters. And Brian, I know you put out a newsletter. I put out a newsletter as well. Putting a newsletter out is just good practice. And now we're going to tie it right back into that whole CRM thing again, because the people that you're going to send your newsletter to are in your CRM system. And then if you're on LinkedIn or Facebook, I think Facebook has this capability as well. You can actually publish your newsletter on LinkedIn. You can publish your newsletter on these social media sites. So you can have some people that are subscribed. I have, I think, close to 2,000 people that are subscribed to my newsletter on LinkedIn that I don't email my newsletter to. They're not subscribed to my CRM system for my newsletter, but they are subscribed on LinkedIn to my newsletter. And it's just where they want to get the newsletter. And LinkedIn manages all that stuff, and that's all well and good. So having a CRM system manage your newsletter is really important. And I know, Brian, you're all about digital ads, but there's few things that are as good as email for reaching out to people and keep in touch, right? So email marketing is a big thing, right? So we know this.
Yeah, absolutely. Your email list is quite possibly the most valuable asset in any business, large or small. whether you're online or brick and mortar, service-based, product-based, e-com, you name it. An email list is one of the most important things you can have because that is still the one space where the death of email has been greatly exaggerated because it is alive and well. It is still the one place, your individual inbox is the one place where you can, as an advertiser or a business, you can be one-on-one with your client, your prospect, whoever it might be that's on your list. They are focused on what you are saying and nothing else. Because if they're on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or X, whatever, there are a 7 million plus one distractions right around them on the right pane or on the sliding down. You end up in the death scroll, and before you know it, you don't even remember what you're doing on Facebook in the first place. When you're in that inbox, now you have them one-on-one. They're going to focus on what you're saying. And if you're providing valuable information, if you're engaging and you can utilize that time one-on-one with them, now you're building that relationship. So yeah, I could go on for days about that, but that is a huge, huge part of being in a business and being active with the people who are on your list, because there's typically going to be two types of people on this list. It's either people who have purchased from you in the past, so call them your VIPs, right? They've sent you money and you've exchanged service or goods. Now they're a VIP. You're staying in contact with these people to continue building lifetime value and get referrals. And depending on what your product or service is, they might need you again. So if you're staying top of mind in their inbox and you're providing value, you can bet your butt they're going to come back to you when it's time to buy. And the other people that are going to be on that list are your prospects. So if you're running ads, whether it's Google ads, Facebook ads, you can automatically send the information of the people that submit as a lead to your CRM or to your newsletter or your email list, whether leads are coming in through the website or on a social media platform. Now you have prospects on there. So these are people who have raised their hand and considered buying from you. They haven't yet, but they've considered it. They're interested. You might have the solution for them. Now you can use this list to talk to these people and push them further towards the sale, right? To encourage them, build that know, like, and trust, essentially. And then before long, they're going to become the other side of your list where they're your clients. So vitally important.
I think I hit a nerve there, man.
Yeah, you got me going there. Goodness gracious. Yeah, your email list is a very important thing, so it can't be understated, but we can save that discussion for another episode.
But it's all part of having a CRM, right? Because who's getting your email? Are they prospects? Because you might want to have an email that just goes to prospects and not customers. You might have to have a separate email that's going to customers.
Yep, you can segment your list. Yep.
Exactly right. So you want to be able to do that. I'm going to tell you a little bit of a trick that I've learned over the years. Sending out a holiday greeting card, whatever you want to say. Merry Christmas, if that's what you're into. Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, season's greetings, whatever you want to say. But sending that out gets almost nobody upset when they receive it. So it's a great way to just make sure that person still exists. So if you don't do a newsletter, you don't do anything else, at least send them a greeting at the holidays, because almost nobody gets mad and say, take me off your list, when all you did was say, season's greetings. I hope you're doing well.
Exactly. That's one of the big things I love implementing for my clients is the go the extra mile stuff, which is every Christmas, we're going to coordinate sending out a card, a handwritten card. It's written by robots, but it's in the handwriting of our clients. And it's going to go out to their entire client list and even their current prospect list. Each card might have a little bit different message depending on who we're sending it to, but we can easily automate that and ship those out. And it doesn't become a massive chore, because these extra mile things are typically the things that don't get done because they're viewed as a luxury, right? But the companies who focus on doing these simple things that go a long way for the prospect or client, it's a good human thing to do, right? It makes people feel good. So I love that.
Handwritten notes are also really important. This is a handwritten note that somebody sent me. This person has fantastic handwriting. So I've covered up his last name. So it's from the desk of, and so all you can see is Mark. But he has fantastic handwriting. So handwriting notes is fantastic. If you don't have good handwriting, then hook up with Brian, let him help you out with one of those robots that writes for you. Because
I'm definitely not going to do it. My chicken scratch, nobody can read.
Right, exactly right. Even if it is your handwriting, it's been fixed, right? So even if it's your font, right?
Right. So that's a perfect way to bookend the chat on technology. Is sometimes it's good to go back to old school and just write a classic handwritten note. I do that with all my clients twice a year. They're getting a thank you note, just a little appreciation message saying, hey, appreciate you. And Look, we're a boutique agency, so I have enough clients to where I can still handwrite that myself. But there are solutions if you are running a larger operation where you need to send out 100 notes. There are solutions where you can easily do that and it'll still be personalized. But going the extra mile, never be afraid of that.
If you do have 100 people that you have to send it to or 1,000 people that you have to send it to, use your CRM to interface into that person, to interface into that robot technology that's going to create that. Have a personalized note that's built off of your history with that person. Say, thank you very much for that order that you gave us last week or whatever. And you can still do it and have it be CRM driven and be customized to that individual. The customer will think, they may know that you use technology to make it better, but you still did something that your competitor didn't do, that the other person that just bought something from didn't do. So even though you cheated, quote unquote cheated, by making it a little bit easier for yourself, you're still heads and shoulders above the competition. And that all flows right back into what I start off with. CRM stands for Customer Relation Management. And we need to manage the relationships that we have with our customers. And we need to do a good job of it. We need to have great customer relations. And the CRM tool, the software itself, that's just a tool to make us better. And there's lots of tools out there to do that. Choose the one that makes sense for your business, that your integrations, your points. Once again, I would definitely make sure that it integrates to your email, integrates to your calendar, so that all that information can flow in. If it doesn't do it, then buy somebody else. There's so many of them out there. Just buy a different one. And you know what? The really good ones, they do all of them.
There's nothing wrong with going around and testing them out, right? It's kind of like when you're going to buy a new car. You test drive a handful of models and see what feels right when you're punching the gas, right? So don't be afraid to go out and test out. Take them for a test drive. See if you like them, because I've done that probably too many times. But it is nice to get a feel for, whether it's taking a demo or getting a 14 or 30-day free trial. Just take it for a spin and see if it's right for you. I did that the most recent time that we were selecting the CRM for my company. I realized that I needed task management and also CRM, but I'm very color coordinated. Like I'm a columns guy in color coordination. So I narrowed it down to the CRMs that could really provide a color coordinating system for me. And I've settled on the one that I use Monday.com, not give them a free plug here, but the color coordination and the task status bars, on their lead pipeline, the color coordination on those bars is perfect for me because that's how my brain operates. So they all essentially do the same thing, but they do them in different ways. So you got to find the one that feels best for you.
Absolutely. And it's really important that you choose the one that fits your business, fits your workflow, fits your individual needs. There's lots of choices out there. Constant offer that I make to people. I'd be happy to talk you through the process. You can hire me and I'll actually help you find the right one and we'll implement it for you. But I'll at least talk you through the process if you want.
I love it. All right. I think this is a perfect bookend to put on part 3 of our 4-part series, Sales Fundamentals that Every Business Owner Should Adopt. We just covered our sales tools and technology section. So, Sean, if you have any parting words for part 3.
Absolutely. So earlier we talked about finding customers and getting customers. This one was all about how to use tools and technology to keep your customers happy and use those tools to find new customers. So now we're going to talk the next time when we get together again. In part 4, we're going to talk about handling objections and creating a sustainable sales momentum and implementing scalable strategies so that you can grow your business and be more profitable. So check us out next time whenever we get around to getting that one in the can.
Yep, that's right. It's going to be coming, folks. Stick around for part 4. We can't wait to have you back, Sean, to wrap up our sales series here. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you very much, Brian. Have a good day.
All right, party people, that is a wrap on part 3, Sales Tools and Technologies. I hope you found this information incredibly valuable because I know how useful it is to keep everything organized inside a business, even when starting out at a very basic level. If you're not using a CRM system, at least use some sort of spreadsheet system to keep your prospects and your customer information aligned. And then I encourage you to graduate into a CRM system that you prefer to use. Again, don't go crazy thinking about all the millions of options out there. Narrow it down to 2 or 3, take them for a test drive, and see how you like them. I bet out of one of those 2 or 3, you can pick one that is best for you and gets the job done. Don't be intimidated by it. It's very easy to be intimidated by the CRM system, but it will make a huge difference in your business. All right. Thank you all for joining us. One little ask for you. If you are on LinkedIn, please connect with us. Look us up. Our handle is @Millionaire University. We would love to connect with you on LinkedIn. We're looking to grow our audience and to help as many people as we can across the spectrum, the business world and the social media spectrum. So reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. And until we catch you for part 4, where we discuss advanced sales concepts and implementation, hope you all have yourselves a great day, a great week, a great month. We'll see you on the next episode of Millionaire University Podcast.